Okay, so this is the follow-up video to the webinar and also the questions and answers. And so I had to get over here in this back area just to get away from the wind. It's pretty windy today. Obviously, hopefully you can't hear it on here, but I had to have something to block it. So it ought to be good. So the last webinar we had was about how to use your body mass and momentum against the golf ball. And the best way I can demonstrate that is you can see my whole body here. So as I take my backswing and I'm in transition here, you can see what I have to do. First of all, to do all that, I have to be rooted in my legs like we talk about. And you'll see that on stage 2. If you're like this and you're trying to use your mass and momentum against the golf ball, you probably won't. If you're like way down and you're going like this, you can't use your mass. So you have to find how to get rooted and loaded and torqued up through your core in your transition, so then when you go to apply power, you can or some intensity, you can use your body mass. But if you get here and you don't turn in your backswing, like I said, I'm not a backswing guy, but you have to be loaded in transition. So if I did this and this, it wouldn't work. If I did this and this, it wouldn't work. You have to be loaded and rooted to where then in your transition zone. So even if you went like this, but then you got rooted in your transition and you found your torque, then you can start to apply it against the golf ball. But you have to find that torque in your transition. If you don't do it, we teach it to do everything together so it becomes rooted at the top. But there's players that just kind of lift the club, and on the tour, like Fred Couples, Kenny Perry, kind of lift it, and then they find their torque in their transition zone. And then they can apply that against the golf ball. Okay? But so you have to, for this to work, you have to have torque, good accumulated torque in transition, and good structure of your body. You don't want your head over here, and the biggest problem for golfers is the head to be over this way. So let me try to find something to block that wind for us. Change it on me today. Okay, so when you get, let's just say you built your torque and you're loaded, how you use it is basically, if you look at you have to use your whole body and the club's attached to that. If what most people would do would try to, if they get loaded, sprint from the top, they'll cast the club out front, they'll outrun it to get to the left side, and they've outran the club. Your body's too far out in front of the club. That's why you're going to cast it. Another way players will do it incorrectly, twist their body. They'll get to the top, they get excited, they want to twist and find the target with their eyes way too early, and they get stuck on their backside. That's why it takes patience coming into transition and coming out of transition. So when you practice, what you would do is grab the club in the middle of the club right here. All right, so what you would do is grab it in the middle of the club, take it to the top, get rooted. You'll sink in your backswing here in your transition, and then what you would do here is just slowly practice moving the club away from your body, not twisting, just moving it away from your body about 6 inches, and then your body connecting together and moving all as one unit up to the golf ball. If you do this, even if you're holding the club back and lag, you're going to get too jammed, and there's going to be a flip at the top. If you go up here and you don't move at all, and you just cast the club all the way down, your body will be way behind, the club's to the ball. You have to find out which one. There's really 3 things you'll be. You'll be one of those 2, so you'll be one of these players that kicks their hips out front, holds the club back, or cast either one, and you're outran it. Or you'll be a player that does a twist from the top, so you'll twist so that looks like this. You'll twist and pull the club out over the top and slice it, which is very common. Or you'll be a player that doesn't do anything. It looks like this. They'll go up to the top, bring the club back down, and their body comes in late. The corrections is the same for all 3. So you got to get it stable in transition first. From here, what you would do from down the line, what it looks like is you move the club. You can see I just barely moved my club away. My hands didn't go in front of my shoulder. They moved away. So if you look here, if you notice the line, notice how it moved. The hands are in line with the seam of my shirt right here. They moved away on that line. They didn't move away this way, and they didn't move away this way. They moved away this way. Okay, so when you see that in the face on, which is easier to see, you'll see the arms got a little bit wider, but I maintained the plane. Maintain the plane. The discipline of the plane looks like this. All right, so it'd be disciplined to the plane. Not disciplined to the plane would look like this, moving it away and twisting, or tilting your body back, or not, or just dropping the club like this, and then an inside flip hook. So if you watch the videos that I've sent with some of the players, you'll see when I'm training them, you'll see they have, I say, discipline to the plane. That means this: that first plane is the most important. From there, then you can deliver the club. Okay. So as you've got that, let's say you've got that, then what you want to do is use your whole body. That's the ankles, the left ankle, the right ankle, the left knee, the left hip, the right hip, left shoulder, right shoulder, and they all just go forward. Okay? So you'll see some twisting, but you do not want to twist. All you want to do is, if you get loaded here, is just roll your ankles. You can see my left ankle, watch it roll outside. That's what you want to do. Roll the left ankle outside and the right ankle inside, very slowly. If you do it fast, it would look like this. It should be in time with the club and just practicing. That's far more powerful than practicing like this. You want to practice like this. See, where it's in timing. So up here, if a player's doing this speed right here, they will, no doubt, develop much faster than the player that's going like this. Even if the forms are right. You're out, that would be outrunning, or the player that's doing this. Or that, obviously. So it's get up here, you pause, and you sink into your hips. You get your hips deep, which we talked about that. Deep is this way, not this way. Deep is that way. Okay? You get deep into your hips, and then you gradually move your mass and momentum forward. The lead ankle should roll like this. So it should be, if you watch, it would roll this way. It does not twist. So I'm not looking for this, I'm looking for this. Okay? That's how you use the mass. So if I wanted to come up to the ball and hit it, if I was trying to hit it, I would roll this ankle and the right ankle, and my club's moving down. You can see this is moving all as one unit. So if I'm here, this would be incorrect. This would be incorrect. This is incorrect. This is incorrect here. This would be correct. Watch the difference. All when the side of the shaft's going to move down towards the golf ball, my whole body, ankles, knees, hips, shoulders, all roll gently forward. Okay? Now, if you have your hips deep this way, if you do the way you do this, what players would get wrong is they would go here and they start to roll forward and they push their pelvis forward. That is incorrect. What you want to do as you do this, you keep your hips back. You keep your hips deep as you're doing this, and what that'll allow you to do is strike on the incline plane. We talk about the first, second, third plane that the club goes through, just like this. Okay, so if your hips are moving forward and you're trying to work your weight forward, you can do it, but you'll lose posture, and it will not help you, obviously. Okay, so that's how to use your mass against the golf ball. We've talked about, the sink and the circle in training. We've talked about how to deliver the club on the straight line. We talk about how to deliver it. Now we're talking about how to use the mass. And if you don't use your ankles, if you spin your hips like this and don't use your ankles, it looks like that. If you outrun it, it won't work. So we want to make sure that as the left and the right are working together with the side of the shaft. So it looks like this. So they're all connected. Speed is would be the biggest problem. This would be incorrect too. So I did it slow, but I didn't do it correct. This is slow and incorrect. So when you're watching your videos, it would look like this. This is what you're looking for from the face on. Down the line, you'll notice there's a lot of depth in my hips here. So as I'm doing this, this is what it looks like. So it looks like this. There's depth in the, and remember, depth is back. It doesn't mean head down. That's the last thing. It's just hips back, okay? That's where all the power is going to be coming from, and the stability of the strike. So both power and precision. Okay, so we're here. Left ankle, right ankle. The club is moving, the side of the shaft's moving forward. And that puts us right to the grip alignment point, and then forward and through there. But the weight just moves forward. just like that. And you can see the softness of the knees and how they're connected, the ankles. Notice I'm not pulling this. This is incorrect. This is what I see players will do sometimes. They'll try to pull that shaft like this. The club gets too jammed up by fake training, and what happens is it comes out flipping. If you move the club away from me, so if you watch how I'm moving the club head away from me, I move it away from me and work with the body, then everything syncs up, and I can use my entire mass against the golf ball. That's why a torque-based swing looks like this. And you can hear the heaviness. A speed-based swing looks like this. You know, there's that stuff, okay? Or it could be all arms too. So if you practice, that's why when you're training, when you practice slow, developing this torque-based swing where you're using the torque of your body and you're getting the alignments correct, you're getting the depth correct. Depth here, it's not knee flex, that's not it. It's depth, okay? So when you get here, it's depth, back, so you got the back part as this is moving gently forward and the club's releasing. And so that's a way you'll see the most stable way to strike a golf ball. Now, a couple questions we have. It's not, when you're watching this, remember, it's not your left ankle. So it's not left ankle. It's not just the shaft. It's not just the right shoulder. It's the whole body. When you're doing this, just remember, it's the whole body is in sync together. I'm just giving you a tip with the ankles. Learn how to move the ankles this way and your knees forward, but you watch the timing of the club, how it's moving together with it. So I'm using my whole body, club being attached to that. I'm also maintaining the discipline of the plane. The plane, this is over the top. Club head's outside the hands. Okay, this is over the top. If the club gets down here and you've got it here and you're looking at your swing, that's over the top. And most of that is because of a twisting motion of the body this way. When you practice in transition, you should practice keeping the discipline just like this right here, you can see, and work forward, okay? Forward only works if you have depth. So if I'm going forward like this, I'm going forward, but I'm collapsing. If I have depth here with my hips in the incline like I've talked about, it works phenomenal, okay? So a couple questions down the line and the baseline. So, basically the baseline. I've got some videos that I've sent everybody on that, but basically if I'm coming in at this angle, the baseline is basically when the club is level like this. It's just maybe an inch above or a degree up above level. So as you can see here, if I was striking this club head, we want slightly behind, or on top, but right here, before the club broke down away from the handle, what happens is we want it right in here. So when we train, what happens is people pull across, they pull around, and the club head, as they start to release the club away, you'll see the club head is outside the hands. That's going to be every time a wipe, okay? What we want to do is keep the hands disciplined to the shoulder and the head behind, and then when you get to the baseline, the club's slightly behind. It stays on the same amount of space here. So I don't have my table, but if I got here, and let's just say it's here, and I twisted, you would see I pulled the baseline left too soon, or if I get on this and I go to deliver and I push the handle out, which can happen, off the baseline table, I'm going right with a flip or just dead right. So what I want to do is I'm going to see if I can get this where you can see it. So if I'm here, this space stays the same amount that I started here. So it's not going up and away. It's not going vertical like this. It's not going way inside like this. It's going, as it delivers, it's creating the same space as I'm going forward and deep with my hips. Okay? And that's as simple as I can tell you. I wouldn't just watch that over and over because it won't change. It's very simple. The baseline is the baseline. And you'll learn more about the baseline as you go. We have videos to talk about it. But it's not, the baseline is not up here. The baseline's not here. The baseline's right there. And it's the baseline going back, and it's the baseline when it changes and goes to here. That is what hits the ball straight. And that's where you see where I have the drill at the table and how I'm getting players to train how to get the first plane. The second plane is middle of the spine. The third plane is the baseline, which is most important. It's here, and you maintain the space. That's how you hit it the same way every time. If you change the baseline, if you're changing the baseline with either face rotation or in or out this way, away from you or close to you. If you're doing that as you're hitting the ball, it will be a no-go. You have to create the same space. So it's why I always say it's like hitting if you're in a 300-yard drive, it's just like a putt as you get through the ball. It's like this. It's not, you wouldn't hit a putt like that, hopefully, or like this, or like that. But you can see if your baseline has got no chance if you get up here and you pull it around like this, or you go under. That's why we talk about it's right through the seam of the shirt here, the middle of the spine, and then it goes down the baseline. And that's the technical way. If you do everything right, it's just back and it's boom, one swing, turn back, turn through. But I'm telling you, that will not work if you've got this pattern in your body like this. You better watch the training with the girl I'm working with, where we say discipline to the plane, and train that, and then do the conversion drill to convert that into your natural swing, which will take months, not days. It is very difficult to do it, but it will work. Okay. So the other one was really about the float. I think most people understand the float. With the wrist, most people consider that with the wrist. And so the float, if you look at it, it's just this much. So when you say this much, what's that mean? If I isolate it to the wrist, that means if I go back here to like a zone 5, the wrist, if you watch, it just move a little bit, just here. And that stabilizes the club. If you watch how I'm doing a chip, you can see here, it's not this. That's not float. That's overdone, and you'll be all over the place. A lot of people try to think this is the float. This is not. That's float loading, and I can tell you that works in my opinion, that's a terrible. You don't see anybody on the tour really do that, where they collapse with their arms in. You'll see some that cock the wrist back, but they still keep their width, like Sergio. They keep the width of their arms, but they got the club cock. That's still not the most efficient way. The best way, if you watch, is to allow the club to move away from you, but not away from you this way, away, and keep discipline to the plane. That's the sharpest way to do that. And the float is a whole body movement. There's several things connected to it, but if you're just talking wrist, it looks like this much. So a zone 5, if I was going straight back, or say a zone 3, or zone 3, it would be here, and that's a float. So it would look like this. It would not look like this. Would not be a zone 3. That's not a zone 3 either. It's just a minimal amount. So the club's moving in the hands like this, and it's literally just that much. It's that much. So if I was going back this way, I'm on the baseline. I haven't done that with my wrist yet. As I'm starting to get into my float, I might add a little bit. That's it. And then from here, it's through. So it looked like this. That's on the table we talk about. There's a little bit of the wrist, and then if you watch, I've had my body back with the legs, push my butt back this way, work my ankles forward. And that's a phenomenal drill to build your swing. Work back without using any wrist. I've turned my whole right side here. I've got the club wide, you can see, like this. I sink with my legs, okay, and then I roll with my ankles and my club face forward. So it looked like this. So it'd go here. And that's how you can build a great golf swing. For you guys that wanted to know about the takeaway is just like it's on the table here. Okay, that's it. You don't roll the face, you don't turn the face down, you don't do any of this with the hands. It's just straight along the table. It's wide, and you can see it. And my whole right side opens up just like this right here. Okay, so if you're doing zone 2s correctly, which is everybody should be doing a lot of those, you can see. That's how you would develop your takeaway. So the players that are doing this or worry about it or doing this, try to hit a zone 2, it won't work like this. That's why it teaches you, if you watch how we're building the program, to where then all of a sudden it goes back a little longer, and it goes back a little longer, and you can see it just naturally works into a good gray area. There's no such thing as perfect on a plane. But if you're doing any of these and you decide you want to go up, that's fine. If you get it here and you decide you want to go back, that's fine. If you get it here and you decide you want to go neutral, that's fine. It won't matter. But if you train all the time in zone 2s and small zone 3s, which is just right there, that's all zone 3 is right there. You can see if it just goes up from there and I turn my right side, it's very neutral. If I go here like this and I lift my arms and I turn my body, I might be more like Bubba Watson here, like this. If I go from here and I decide I want to rotate the spine a little bit, which I don't recommend, and go flat, I can go here, okay? there's a lot of different gray areas. The club could be in here and it could go around, it could go there. There's a lot of things that can go after that, but I do believe that the takeaway, practicing along the table, turning the right side wide, and then practicing that will really help you to get to flow in your swing and a rhythm, especially as you get into becoming a better player forward and so forth. But anyway, that'll help you understand how to use mass and momentum. I guess as good as anything I can teach you. It's a whole body movement. That doesn't mean it's just the whole body. Body is a club attached to that. Okay, you have to respect the club, and very few people do. When I'm watching this, they either all club, which is like this, or they're all body and they're slinging the club. There's no respect with both. So you have to, when you get here, stabilize, let them stop for a second, and then you learn how to move the club away from you and stay disciplined to the plane and use your mass forward against the golf ball. Okay, I'll see you at the next webinar.